Hello, welcome avid computer learners and technology, followers. Welcome to our Computer Literacy 101 course. Hit the subscribe button if you're interested in computers or comment if you have any questions because I have so much information on this chapter and it went a little bit overboard on the time. So hopefully I can answer questions if you do have questions. So we're on Twitter or YouTube comments or even visit our website. And we also have show notes. So stay tuned and check this out. It's awesome. So today's subject is basic network equipment. So I'm going to cover the bare minimum on this. There is so much to learn, and if you're really interested in learning about this subject, you should definitely check out the CCNA courses. So it's split up into two. I will be posting them as well, and we also have a course that you can check out, like a in-depth, you want to get your certification, we got you covered. So stay tuned for that information. But in the meantime, all right, so I'm going to start by going over with today's subjects. So we're going to talk about the modem, which is really interesting. The switch, just hint, it connects stuff together, like computers. The router, which is a little bit complicated, and it's like this this is how you draw a router if you're a network geek. So that's pretty cool, huh? Wireless access points, which I'm pretty sure we should be familiar with because everybody and their mama connects to Wi-Fi. And server. What's a server? I don't know. There's a little thing called Facebook and Instagram. They're run on servers. Huh, pretty cool, huh? So probably the most important piece of the home network is the modem. And probably the most important piece for everything else too, because it is the main connection to the internet service provider. So the modem connects us with the internet service provider. So that would be Comcast if you're in Texas, and we also have AT&T. So Comcast and AT&T, I know they like to do this little logo thing. Yeah, it's horrible. So one of these guys is going to run a connection to this little office or this little device, this little encasing outside, and they have these little runs and it connects to people's houses. So there's a house right here. There's my house here because I do have AT&T, just FYI, and they're not paying me to make this. So Comcast provides better speeds, in my opinion, but AT&T just has those fiber links. So it's straight fiber to AT&T, and it's faster. And we can talk about stuff like this, but that's for another course. Remember, the CCNA course. And it separates your local network from the internet. Really, it's not exactly like this, so just be careful when you explain it to somebody that really is is really that really knows what's going on. Oh, I lost track of this. That really knows what's going on because it technically it's not this is not what it does. It's the router does sit here, so it is between the service provider and you. So there's a more technical term for that, but we'll just go over that on a future course. And unfortunately, it won't be this one, but if I caught your interest, hit the subscribe button because there will be more. And let's carry on. Now we're going to talk about the switch. So the switch is a really interesting device because technically it doesn't connect to the internet at all, but it does do some stuff that we associate with the internet, which will be connecting devices like computers, wireless access points. It's a ubiquity access point. It looks kind of like a UFO, and it floods Wi-Fi signal. Which Wi-Fi signals are waves. Just FYI, they're radio frequencies. So on the wrong slide, but we'll talk about that more. So this is what the switch does. It connects our devices to the local network. So switch do have local area networks. So that's the domain of the switch. Not to be confused with a hub, and we'll talk about what hubs are on a more precise CCNA course where it's actually important when you know what a hub is and what a switch is. And that's a lot of technical stuff that we have to go over, but just for the sake of simplicity, the switch connects stuff to the local area network. So whenever you think about the switch, think about the LAN, which is a switch. And you can connect all kinds of devices that are running Ethernet. As you can see, these are all Ethernet RJ45 ports, and we have SFP ports. So generally, for our purpose, we're not going to worry about these SFP ports because those are a little bit more advanced. Those are for like a legitimate network administrator and engineer. And my dogs are about to keep barking. Oh well, I got saved. So forget that I have dogs. Let's continue on with this. So it creates individual traffic lanes. So that's something I didn't really discuss, and it's a little bit more complicated, but modern switches are able to segment this. So you can segment into like different LANs, and they're called virtual LANs. So it's VLAN. And that's a little bit more complicated subject, but whenever you have your LAN right here, you can actually broadcast. So let's say you have your computer and it's going to send out a signal, and if it doesn't know where it's going, it's going to be like, well, I'm going to send it out of here, 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 everything except for this one. And that's actually a question for a CCNA, but now you know for free. You're welcome. So it's only going to do it for this VLAN, and that's what modern switches do. And if you don't, usually they don't come configured with VLANs. Usually it's just this whole thing, and I've gone and made a mess. But that's what's special about modern switches, and that differentiates them from hubs. It's a little bit more complicated, but we're gonna carry on. I hope I didn't lose you because this is something that I absolutely love to talk about. And unfortunately, I feel like I lost a couple people. But if you have any questions, there's a comment button down there, and you can ask me in detail or where I lost you, if in case if I do, and we do have notes. So keep an eye out for those. But just going over, it connects devices to the local area network, and it creates individual traffic lanes. And it's not a hub. Don't call it a hub. And this is the router. I totally did not go in the proper order that I should have to explain this properly, but the router is what connects networks together. So it segments networks together, and there's different kinds of routers, as there are different kinds of network devices. So this is going to be a little bit more complicated because I'm going to explain what the difference is between these two routers. So this router is a Cisco router. It's a router that you may think it looks like a switch, but it's actually a router because it tells me here. It's not a catalyst. And the reason why you have these is so you can connect to different routers. Um, Sometimes these are actually modules that can act like a switch. So sometimes for some labs, if especially if you're in a lab environment, you need to simulate like ISP connections. So they will provide you with a serial cable that's just gonna go link up with another router, and then it's gonna have like a switch and all this nonsense, and it only gets complicated. So routers are pretty cool. They separate um, networks. So I don't know if you've ever logged into your router, but you're like logging into the 192.168 dot whatever network, or whatever IP. Um, yeah, so routers separate this and connect you to another network, which this is more of a commercial network. And when I mean commercial, I mean like enterprise level network. And I'm writing with a mouse, just FYI, if you guys haven't noticed thus far. And it's very hard, so hopefully we can upgrade and get something better so it could actually scribble some awesome notes for you guys. And this is what you're going to see at an enterprise. So in a business, small businesses probably won't have a router like this. It just depends on the size of the business. But small businesses and homes are probably going to have devices like this right here, this awesome Linksys router. So let me go over what this does. So this is an all-in-one device. So it probably does switching. So it probably has a couple ports right here that are connect to, I don't know, your Xbox, PlayStation, computer, whatever you want to connect it. And it actually has a wireless access point built in. So it also broadcasts uh, Wi-Fi radio frequency. So it doesn't just do routing, it does a lot of other things, and it probably also has a little connection where it either connects to a DSL through DSL or maybe cable, and it converts that analog signal over to digital signal and all that. So it probably is an all-in-one. So it's a modem, router, switch, and wireless access point. So it's in most home network devices and small business devices, like I'm talking about super small business devices, are to handle everything. But for business environments, you kind of want something like this where it's dedicated, it's a workhorse, and you know it's not going to fail. As you can see, it's got some fans here, and I'm just talking so much about this because hey, what do you know? This guy's really into networking. So let me just go over what we talked today about this router. It connects networks together. So that's what it does in pure essence. A router connects networks. It allows devices in a local network to reach other networks. So if you're in network A and you got to get to your buddy over here on network B, it helps you communicate. And again, this is just general information. If you want the precise information, there's a course for that, and I can provide you with links to more material. And it's called the gateway. So if you're ever setting up a computer or something or a server, you're going to notice that it's going to ask for the GW or gateway or, you know, and that's the IP of this. So whenever you type in your gateway IP to change some settings, it's the router, just FYI. And we're going to go on to the next slide. All right, we're going to talk about the wireless access point. So I didn't have much on this slide. It's kind of self-explanatory, but there's this thing called Wi-Fi, and it's awesome because it helps people not use their cellular data, and it connects us to local area networks, and those local area networks allow us to go out and browse the internet. Is this how you do the internet? Like a atom? That's an ugly pronunciation of atom. Anyways, so yeah, so if you go to Starbucks and you see a lot of people on their computers, uh, this is a horrible laptop, but anyways, and they get that signal from the airwaves because it's a radio frequency signal. It's actually these bad boys. This is a Ubiquiti wireless access point. They're one of the probably the least expensive commercial grade wireless access points, and then you have Cisco that's gonna bleed you to death with money. Um, just kidding. Don't. It's whatever you choose to run is whatever you get. And my dogs just started barking. Let's ignore that if we can. No. Okay. And they stopped. Cross my fingers. All right. So sorry about that. So the wireless access point provides us with a Wi-Fi signal, and there's this thing where people say the internet's not working, and what it turns out is that this wireless access point just went red and it just stopped working. Let's pretend that this light is red, not green. Um, Usually the Wi-Fi does not. If your Wi-Fi is gone, it doesn't mean that your internet is down. And if your Wi-Fi is down, it doesn't mean that your internet's down. So vice versa, whatever. It just it's a component to the network. So you can have, I don't know if you guys picked on this yet, and I hope you did. And if you did, I would give you a golden star because you're awesome. You're a good student. But back to my point. So you can have these points of failures, and as you can see in a commercial network, you're gonna have these multiple devices. So whenever you do have a point of failure, it's not like, oh, we gotta go swap out our all-in-one. No. So whenever you have an all-in-one, if something goes wrong, that usually means that, hey, I can't connect to the internet. But in a commercial network or the enterprise network, whenever one of your devices, let's say a switch, goes down, that's no biggie because you probably have another switch that's interconnected, and it, does this, and then it connects to a core device. And then that core device has like the firewall or gateway that goes to the internet. Um, so this one goes down, no biggie. We still got this one to go to this one. And usually the more advanced ones are pretty crazy and gnarly. And they have a lot of, as you can see, if this one goes down, no worries, we still got this bad boy. So these devices are made for redundancy. So for example, Starbucks, they probably are gonna have like two wireless access points, maybe just one. I don't see how they can get away with just using one because you probably want two, one for the outside if they have a outside area, and two for the inside, because you want to make sure that you have that redundancy. But that's what they do. They spit out Wi-Fi signal, and you have the 5 gigahertz, and you have the 2.4 gigahertz range. So this is like a smaller radio frequency, but in turn is faster, and this is a wider radio frequency. So think about AM and FM. I would like you guys to do some research on your own, and look at radio frequencies and see if you can see which one of these, what their individual abilities are, and what their purposes are. So modern wireless access points can broadcast both signals, so you get the best of both worlds. And the nicer ones, such as the Cisco wireless access points, actually alternate and broadcast whatever frequency is more efficient and useful. And they actually see if other wireless access points are broadcasting in different channels. So it's these wireless access points have their own little field of study. So it's definitely interesting. The networking world is definitely an interesting world. So let's just go over what we covered. So wireless access point generally describes a Wi-Fi signal. It connects devices to the local area network. So kind of like a switch, except it's wireless, and it's a little bit more complicated than a switch. You do have an access. Blah. Let's not talk about authentication and access. Maybe we'll talk about it later. It is so multi-vendor support Wi-Fi. So uh, Wi-Fi will work. So if you have a ubiquitous wireless access point, it's going to work on a Cisco switch, and so on and so on. We have these protocols that help these devices connect, and these protocols are network protocols. Generally, they're TCP/IP protocols, but that's the way the internet connects. But there's a little bit more. There's more protocols that actually support network connections, and that's something that we can talk about later in a later course. But pardon the mess. I hope you got the message, and there's just so much information, but these are the basics. And let's go on to the next slide. Last but definitely not least is the server. So what is the server? It's the thing that runs the game we call Fortnite, and where all those people play. I'm not even gonna write that, but so a server provides, in general, layman's terms, it provides a service. Like a server. Yeah, okay. That was horrible. But these things are probably running Fortnite or Fallout or some kind of game, or even Facebook. And let's say we have John over here. He's on his computer. I was gonna spell a name, but I didn't. He's on his computer and he wants to, DM Mary. And he's all like, okay, I'm going to send a message, and It sends it up to his switch, and then his switch sends it to his router, and his router sends it to the modem, which in turn sends it to the internet service provider, and the internet service provider sends it to some server out in California's Facebook office, and Facebook gets it, and then Facebook sends it over to Mary, and so on and so on. And that's pretty much what a server does. It provides those services and connects clients. So it doesn't even have to be Facebook. Let's think about your company. You're logging in to check in when you're getting paid. So you probably have a portal and you log into the company server, or you're sending out an invoice. You're logging into your company server. Um, so servers are very important. They handle authentication. They run all kinds of little services here and there. They host games, for example, Fortnite. People are playing Fortnite. A server handles all of those requests. So all those little bullets that are being sent out, all that information that represents the game is on a server. So servers are definitely have a wide array of use. They run programs and applications that hold information, and that information is sent to the computers, and if we kept, which goes back to the chapter one where we were talking about what data is and what input output is. And it's a very interesting world of computers, and I definitely piqued somebody's interest at least. That's it for my rant. I'm just gonna go over the bullet points. It does run services for other computers on a network, and even the internet. So it's just not on a network. It could be your local area network, or it could be the internet. iTunes, for example. It has various uses. So it could range from Facebook to playing video games. Um, has definitely servers are made with commercial grade hardware, although if you have a home server that's just used to store your family pictures and play videos from different TVs, you can get away with using consumer grade materials. But for the most part, if you're doing something like browsing on Facebook, Facebook generally has millions or thousands of people connecting to a server, so it's definitely has to have beefier commercial grade equipment. And servers are made to be redundant. The difference between a commercial server and a home network server is that a commercial server is probably going to have uh, multiple hard drives, so in case one of the hard drives goes down, it could definitely survive a hard drive crash. So all you have to do is just replace that hard drive, and it will repopulate that data over to that hard drive. Same with power supplies. So it's a little bit more complicated. Definitely have more information on that. Unfortunately, that's not part of the CCNA course. It is a different uh, system administration course that talks about the different RAID arrays and uh, data replication, which is really cool and really interesting. And like I said, I'm a huge geek about this, and I would definitely love to talk more about this, but this is not the course. And that being said, we're gonna end this and go to the next slide. And there's actually no next slide. This is it. Um, Follow us on Facebook. We're under VELA IT Technology Technologies, and definitely on YouTube. If you're not watching this on YouTube, go check it out. Check us out on YouTube. We're under the VELA IT. Twitter. We also have a VELA IT Twitter if you want to be creepy on Twitter and say hey, or I have any questions. I'm just playing. You don't have to be creepy. So definitely go check us out at velait.net. That's our website, and it is hosted on a server. So just so I can go over everything that we did today, we went over modems, and that is what connects us to the internet, or the internet service provider, which is not the internet. But let's just say this is an internet service provider that has all these different routes to go different places. So this is our modem, and our modem connects to a router, or maybe it's an all-in-one, we don't know. And the router connects to a switch, and the switch can either be hooked up to a wireless access point, which provides Wi-Fi signal, or directly to a computer or any kind of device that uses an RJ45. So pretty much that's what we went over. We just kind of got a general understanding on how network devices go. Next chapter we will cover phones, which is phones, right? But there's actually a lot of things to learn about phone systems because we have old school copper lines and we have these new virtual phone systems. So it's definitely something that you want to check out. So definitely hit the subscribe button if you still haven't because you definitely want to check that out and learn more. Alrighty guys, that's all for today. You guys have a great day.